morning, good evening, good night, wherever or whoever you may be. I'm Alan Arante, and this is the Recluse podcast. Today's guest is Alexandria Suzanne. She is 16 years old and has published her first book. The book is called The Book of Questions, a non-political survival journal to guide you through the second half of 2020. Alexandria's mother had the sense to encourage her daughter to accomplish something during the pandemic instead of just sitting on the couch. And she did. I had the privilege of receiving a copy of the book, and it really is, as the title suggests. It's a book of questions designed to be written in by the reader. It begins with a foreword written by Alexandria's grandmother, and what follows are thoughtful and reflective questions for each of the remaining days of 2020. In this conversation, we discuss the allegory of the cave by Plato and Socrates' decision to ingest the hemlock rather than escape his death sentence. We talk about American culture and the value of honesty as a means of simplifying one's life. Alexandria describes her quest for inner peace, and she is optimistic about her future. Her book is available on lulu.com. You can order through the link in her bio on Instagram. I will also link the book in the show notes. This girl, she's very special. She's very enlightened and thoughtful for her age. I haven't talked to many 16-year-olds that have her vocabulary and thought process. I think she's going to do great things in her life. So without further delay, this is a portrait of Alexandria Suzanne. Feel like to have, I think I saw that you actually have some physical copies at home. I saw a picture. What does it feel like to hold a physical finished product?
Oh, that was the best feeling, honestly, because I was like, okay, I got my book done. Okay, whatever. Like, it's just a journal. Like, I just wrote some questions or whatever. But then, like, I'm seeing it, and then I'm seeing the outcomes of it, and it's just like, wow, like success to me, at least in the measure of being 16, because, I still have to go to school, all type of stuff like that. Success to me, honestly, personally, is just something that I have pushed myself to do, and I am proud of it. I'm proud of it. Like, because I'm a perfectionist. I really like everything to be solid, beautiful, perfect. So if I'm proud of it, yeah, there's nothing wrong.
So you said something interesting. You said that you finished this and you're actually more motivated now. It sounded like you weren't that motivated before, but now that you did this big project and you have this physical thing in your hands that you can look at, you're now starting, and you probably were industrious before, but it sounds like you just gained this strong motivation after finishing this first project. How are you different from before you wrote the book to now?
From before I wrote the book, I would say that I was more just like, oh, it's whatever. Like, because I grew up in isolation. I'm very used to being alone. So it's just, when it comes to people, like, honestly, I just working with people and being in business and stuff, I don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to that. So I knew I was going to be very naive coming into anything like this. So I was just like, I just don't want to do it. Like, I was just very, like, before my book, I was just very like, I don't want to get into all this, I have epilepsy. I'm going to be seizing all the time. It's going to be stressful and stuff like that. Like, I felt like I didn't really have a grasp on it because I was very uneducated on these topics and just the industry in general, the business industry in general. And after I did my book, I was like, well, this is easy. I mean, working with people, you just talk, like, people are just people. Like, the common denominator with everybody is that we're human. It's just that me, I don't know, I have very bad social anxiety.
And your questions, a lot of them are very enlightened, and there are a lot of questions related to self. They're pretty much all questions related to self growth and reflection. So you have questions in there about health and just human connection and educating yourself. Where did those questions come from? Did you just sit at your desk and kind of just put pen to paper? How did you come up with those questions?
Honestly, yes. Like, I really just thought about stuff that I learned in life. And I was like, okay, how can I project myself into this project? And I was like, I don't want to be biased because that's just not me as a person. Like, I'm very opinionated. I'm not going to lie. I really am. But I am very open-minded to other people. I believe that people deserve to be listened to. And that's why, I decided to write a journal because, people are going through it. They need somewhere to place their feelings. If it's not because nobody likes people who don't know how to handle their feelings. So they, place it onto other people. Like, nobody has time for that. Right. So I was just, write these questions down. It really came off the dome.
And were you afraid, or did you have any worries or fears about what people might think about this book, what people might think about you? Oh, she's just a 16-year-old girl. What could she possibly know? Did you have any anxieties about that?
No. I've been used to people because I try so hard with a lot of just different stuff besides like business, honestly. So, and people have been honestly, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah. Okay. When it comes to stuff that like I try to do that's good, a lot of people doubt it. They shame it. It's been like that. Honestly, my whole life I've been doubted and stuff like that. And that's not an exaggeration. It's just that when you deal with hurt people, they're going to hurt you. Right. So I just got over it. Like, honestly, right now is the point in my life where I'm just getting so over people making me out to be this person that I'm not. I'm a very good person. And that's what I want to project when it comes to my work life. That's what people are going to see. They're going to see me as the good person that I am. That's what I'm going to show people, So I wasn't scared at all. I was just like, it's my first project. What can you say? Everybody started somewhere. If you came from a wealthy family, that's you. But, I came from rags. I'm working my way to riches,
So in your book, you have a dedication on one of the early pages, and you dedicate the book to Lewis and Michael J. Owens. Who are they?
Oh, it's my grandfather who passed, and Lewis is my grandfather, and Michael is my uncle who recently passed in 2018.
Yeah. And did you get to spend time with them in your lifetime?
My grandfather, no, I've never met him. He passed before I was born. However, he's a pretty cool guy, the stories that I hear. So I just was like, I'm going to put him in my book. Why not? Plus, it's just family, So, and my uncle, I miss him. And I seen him about a week or so before he passed. He lives in my hometown, which is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Well, he lived in my hometown, which is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we had visited for, I believe, spring break or something like that. And then after we came back out here, he passed. So.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. I figured they were important to you, and I thought that was a nice thing that you did to honor them with your first book.
Yeah.
And another cool thing about your book is that your grandmother wrote the foreword, right?
Yes.
How did you come to that choice? So many, I wonder, if I wrote a book, who would I have do it? And a lot of times the author does it themselves. What went into your choice to have your grandmother write it for you?
My grandmother is honestly my biggest inspiration. Like, I don't really, like, people can't really, do something or say something and it makes me be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and this. Like, no, it doesn't really work like that for me. But when it comes to her, it's just the simple fact that she cares and loves through so much trauma and damage that people do to her. And it's just like, I can't appreciate that more. So to honor her, I just want to have her everywhere that she can be before her time is gone. You know, I very much love my grandma. She has medical problems going on, so I just try to honor her, you know, and respect her. I will always respect my family regardless, but yeah, I love my grandma very much. We're very close.
She describes in the foreword your first day of middle school and finding you on the floor with, you know, in a pool of blood and saliva. What that was that your first epileptic episode?
Yes, that was my first grandma. I've been having what we call myoclonics, which are like small blackout seizures. I've been having those since I was very young. However, I never knew what they were, so we've been ignoring it since I was
Wow.
4. And then when I finally got to about 6th grade, I had my first episode, because the thing about epilepsy is you cannot rush yourself ever. Like, you just can't do that. You cannot deal with loud stuff. You just can't. Like, you have to work at your own body's pace. It's like you're forced to be a good human. Like, if you get what I'm saying, like, you're forced to heal yourself, be good with yourself, because all that, because look, when I was in 6th grade, and just kind of like in 5th grade too, I was a fighter. I like to fight a lot. I was getting in trouble all the time. And so epilepsy really slapped me at the right time, because I was going to get into stuff that I really had no business getting into. Right. But it's just the simple fact that, you know, I'm appreciative of it, even though it's hard, because it did force me into growing into this person that I wanted to become anyway. You know, I'm tired of disrespecting my childhood self. I don't want to do that anymore. So, you know, I decided to really sit down and introspect and see all my stuff and just grow, you know. But epilepsy is just it's very hard, and people don't understand that. But the first episode was a nightmare.
And what does it feel like? Do you just lose consciousness and all of a sudden you wake up? You know, what does it actually feel like? Are you afraid during it? Do you have no idea what's going on until you wake up?
Well, I have 3 different seizures. I have myoclonics, I have grand mal, and I have staring seizures. However, it feels different every time, because my first couple of seizures, and they're usually, you know, the grand mal, when I have them, it feels like I'm getting electrocuted with the highest, I don't know what that's called, voltage, but it's just like, it's so painful. It's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I thought I was going to die my first seizure. So I was trying so hard to grasp onto anything I could before my body shut down, because it shuts down one by one. Like right now, my arm is just done with, because I fell like 2 days ago. I was having a seizure, and my arm is really messed up right now. So can't really move it.
So in terms of the content of your book, just to move forward a little bit, you have so many interesting questions. For instance, you reference Plato's allegory of the cave, which I remember learning about in college. So the first time I heard about it was in college. So I'm wondering how you're 16, you're pretty young. Where did you hear about the allegory of the cave?
YouTube. Honestly, I'm very I like to self-educate myself, because I don't really appreciate the systematic ways of learning. So I simply just choose to self-educate, and I really appreciated his, you know, the way that they animated the video that I seen. It was very easily processed, because another thing about epilepsy is it causes, every time you have a seizure, it causes brain damage, and it's hard to remember stuff. So a lot of the ways that I articulate things is very severed, and a lot of the ways that, you know, I bring things back up, try to remember things, is very hard for me, but I try to, you know, function regular. However, it's it was very interesting to see the video, and it was talking about how this man was just well, you've seen it, but I'm just saying it because I'm on a podcast. But it was just talking about how the man was in the cave, and this was all they're used to, right? So this man was like, you know what? No, like I'm about to leave. So he went to go see something, and he went to go see the outside world. And then that's when he came back. And then these guys just rejected him because he was telling them something that they refused to believe. And it was very interesting to me because a lot of humans are like that. They are so used to that they love to stick with only what they're familiar with because they're scared. Humans are very fearful creatures. Yeah, it was very interesting to me because a lot of the humans that I know are very damaged, to say the least, you know, and it's just when you're damaged, you know, the natural response is insecurity and embarrassment, or well, yeah, honestly, it's that.
Yeah.
And when you go through that, you know, you don't really want to hear about stuff that you've done. And, you know, honestly, you get scared of yourself. You really do. You start to create this fear in yourself. And it's like, you cannot do that. Oh. You just can't. Because when you're scared of yourself, nothing else around you will go right at all. At all. Yes. It just won't. We are our own temples, and we are the people who have to get a grasp of everything. That's why when people, you know, come to me crying like, oh, he did me so good, I'll just be like, okay. Like, I mean, you're supposed to be secure enough in yourself to expect, to know that people are not going to show up for you. It's just not going to happen. Family, you know, as people, we might obligate each other to show up and be there and whatnot, but as humans, that's not how we are in nature. We're very selfish. We're very scavenger, you know, stuff like that. So it's just like...
Yes. I thought it was such a great reference that you put in the book, The Allegory of the Cave, especially for your age. I mean, like I said, I learned about that in college. You also reference another Greek philosopher, and I'll pose the question to you in just a second. But you reference Socrates, and of course, the story with Socrates is that he was charged with corrupting the youth and heresy, and he was condemned to death. And even though he had the opportunity to escape, he chose to die. He chose to value the state's wishes, basically. So I pose the question to you. What would you have done, or what would you do if in that same situation where you could escape? Would you drink the hemlock and take the charges as they're given, or would you escape?
I would escape. I'm sorry. I just can't, like, because I know, because I mean, back then, you know, they in his situation, that's what I'm trying to say. In his situation, he was unknowledgeable. However, your body speaks to you before you can. Your body has all the answers. It literally has all of the answers before the actual person inside the body can process the answers. It's just true. That's why, you know, when you have an off feeling, so to say, it's your body telling you that it's seen this before. And even if it hasn't seen this before, it's very unfamiliar, and it wants this, you know, whatever the off thing is, it wants that to be avoided, right? And people don't listen to their body. They're like, well, I came for this, so I don't care, you know, right? And it's just like, no, like, that's why you wonder why you get into all these situations, because you're not listening to yourself. People aren't, you know, actually hearing themselves. Like, they hear themselves, the ignorant part, but they're not listening to the part that's actually trying to help them, because it's stopping what they want to do. And it's like, I get that we have our desires and everything, but you can't go weeping and whining after it happens. Like, no, I don't, you know, after you do something that you regret, I understand, I fully understand, but crying about it's not going to get you nowhere. It's about healing from the situation, right? But anyways, with him, I would have escaped, because it's like, I know that I'm unknowledgeable, right? I don't know anything. People aren't teaching me nothing. But I have this feeling, right? My body is rejecting everything that's around me. So why would I stay in a situation that my body isn't comfortable with? Like, this is what my body is, what I have to live in. So I have to take care of it. I have to agree with it and become and unify myself with my body. So if my body is saying no, I gotta go.
If you had the ability or the power to time travel, where would you go? What? And when I say where, I guess that I am talking geographically, but also time wise. Where would you like to go?
Where would I go? Honestly, it's a few places, but it's no place like home, right? And I've just been out of my home for so long. I would honestly go back to my home in like the time of, I'd say, Generation X, right? I'd go back there. Yeah. I don't really like my generation. They're very ignorant, because I believe that technology is the devil. Like, it's a blessing, but it's a curse. It's just it's spread so much that's not needed to be spread, and it pressures these young kids. It's really bothering our youth. Like, I've never seen. I don't know. It's just crazy, but I just don't really appreciate my generation, right? So I go back to there, but I don't want to go all the way back, because I am a girl and I am multiracial. So I don't want to deal with all that discrimination and stuff. So, yeah.
How would you describe American culture today? So, for example, I can imagine other cultures around the world, and I see the contrast between them and our culture. But I struggle to describe American culture. How would you describe American culture?
I struggle so hard, but in my environment, how do I say that? Because in the Black community, we're very unprotected, right? So it's just a lot that goes on there and that people don't know about. So I would describe American culture overall, in my view. It's just like it's just a conform to society, if I'm being honest. Like, everybody is just conforming to what they are claiming so hard to be against, and it's just not true. Like, you're what? Let's say, what's the new status quo? Sex, violence, drugs. You see that everywhere on social media. That's their status quo. And I'll just be like, dude, like, that's whack. Like, really get out here and live. Like, it's other stuff out here to explore, people to see. I know trauma will cause you to have a feel towards whatever, or cause you to act a certain way, right? But y'all on social media hyping growth so much. It's fake. Y'all are fake, literally not genuinely growing, because you can acknowledge your wrongs, but it's not the same thing as healing them. Because I did that for years. I thought I was so healed just because I finally could admit that I did something wrong, and that's just not true, because I still have all these issues going on, right? And it's just like, okay, now I have to understand the ins and outs of those. Now I have to analyze that childhood trauma. Where did that derive from? People not doing that. They're not taking care of themselves. Therefore, they're not taking care of other people and other things. So it's just American. And then on top of that, we have the elite who wants to capitalize everything. So everybody, has to struggle for this and that. So it's just like, American culture is very... I'm trying to think of a word to describe it. It's just very hostile, I would say.
Yeah. Wow. You are so enlightened for being so young. Whatever path you're on, please continue this. It's like, just seriously. Anyway.
Thank you.
So in your book, you give a question out, and you say, if you were a billionaire, what would you do? So I pose that question to you. If you were a billionaire tomorrow, what would you do with that wealth? And what would you do in this life?
If I was a billionaire tomorrow, ooh, I would take care of my family first. Simple. That's just what I
Mm.
would do. I would, buy my mother a house, buy my grandma a house, my sister, my uncle, and then because those are my close family. My uncle's children and his wife, the uncle who passed, his children and his wife, I would get them a home and have them be all okay, right? And then I'd get myself all right, and then I'd invest. I'd just get everything that I need to get done first. And then we can, go on the shopping spree and start looking cute and all that extra stuff. I'm not the type of person who's gonna sit there and spend my money on stupid stuff first. Like I don't get people who do that. I'm sorry, just not.
So you also reference the show Shark Tank, and it seems like it's influenced you, and it turned you on to starting businesses and to being productive. What do you like about the show? And yeah, first you can tell me that. What do you like about the show Shark Tank?
I love that it's just like it's very inclusive, even though they're like, kicking people off the show and being all rude, but it's very inclusive and it gives you a lot of insight to how reckless the business can be, reckless business industry can be. And I love Kevin because he's so heartless. Like he just be like, like nothing is ever gonna cry for you. And I just be like, right. So every time I catch myself crying over something, I make it known that I do have to feel my human emotions because suppressing them will only make them come out in different ways, right? But I can't weep over this. This is just, it's nothing is going to come of it if I weep and cry. And, it just gives me a lot of the insight that I like. Plus, it has the little sprinkle of drama in it. So,
yes. So if I don't know, if I were to get a phone call right now, somehow somebody knows I'm talking to you, and I get this phone call, and they say, "Hey, Alan, we need you to give this message to Alexandria. She's going to come on Shark Tank tomorrow." Let's say that happened. What would you pitch if you had the chance tomorrow? Obviously, I don't expect you to have a good answer. I don't know that you've thought about it, but if forced into a corner like that with this opportunity, just off the top of your head, what would you pitch?
What would I pitch? I mean, I have a clothing line in the works, so I guess I would do that. But I don't really do like big inventions and all that. I really love science. I do, but I don't. I'm not a technical person.
So you
I wouldn't create nothing that Kevin likes because he'd be like, it needs to be big. It needs to be something that would sell. And I just be like, I mean, I guess.
You can already hear that rejection coming from Kevin.
I really could.
You also seem to be influenced and motivated and inspired by Ellen. What has Ellen inspired you to do, or how has Ellen empowered you?
Well, when I was first diagnosed with epilepsy, it was a really depressing time for me. So, I just needed something to make me laugh. And Ellen, I would watch her all the time. And I very much, I just love Ellen, a lot. I don't support her team because I really think the business industry is very shady. So I don't really support nobody in that, whatever. But I separate the person from the business, right? So right. I was just like, she's really cool. I like her. She's very inclusive. She diversifies her shows. She makes sure that she's bringing in people, just different people, people that you don't really hear of. Of course they had to have some type of platform for her to hear about them. However, it's just, she really venges for the people who don't have a chance. And I really like that, and it's just, she's cool. She's just a really cool person. And she looks like my cousin.
I'm not sure if you say it in your book, but I got the impression that Ellen is a lesbian And I believe I'm not sure, but you're also a lesbian, right?
Right.
And did Ellen in any way influence you in that sense, in the sense that you can feel proud or not ashamed or feel weird about it?
No. She didn't influence that. I really look to her when it comes to that because I very much appreciate how because she was, hidden for a long time.
Yes, yes.
So I was just like, like she's very brave for that, right? But no, that wasn't hard for me at all. I was just like, yeah, like this is what I like. Like, is there something that you're gonna say about it? Because honestly, I mean, I'm only human. That's the common denominator with everybody. And I have another book coming out, and it's gonna have some offensive questions in there. And I'm not worried about it at all. Like, I'm just not, because humans, like, we just love, like, this is what I'll say about American culture. We are a country that is in denial, like so in denial about a lot of stuff, about just human feelings, human thoughts, human curiosity, right, about, politics. I don't really get into that too deep because, hey, right? But that they're so in denial when it comes to, like race. I don't believe in race. I just don't. I believe it was something that was created to divide. And people, in America capitalizes off of it all the time. All the time. And people like to make a huge deal out of race. What you do is you need to stop saying, oh, like screaming about your skin color. Yeah, it's unfair. Don't get it twisted, right? But it's unreal in my eyes. The race factor is very unreal. What's real is the discrimination. What's real is the capitalization. All of that stuff is very real, and they're doing it over and over and over. And people, that's what people need to speak up about, not your skin color, because that's all they're going to keep talking about is your skin color. It's unreal. It's not real. We're human. The human race is what's real. That's what you can say is real. Yeah, you might have black skin. I might have light skin, but it doesn't matter. We're all human at the end of the day. Why are we saying that, you're black? Why are we dividing each other even more? That's unnecessary. Yeah,
the differences, they're important, of course, all these differences among us.
Of course.
And it's such a
remember
bummer.
The culture. Remember the culture behind your skin color, or behind, your ethnic. Remember that, of course. But the skin color alone, race alone is just, no, it's something made to divide, I promise.
So you feel very empowered, as an individual. You're, in your womanhood, in your sexuality and the way you look. Have you always had this positive sense of self-regard? Have you always felt positively about yourself? Or were there years where you wondered, you looked at yourself in the mirror and didn't like what you saw?
I'm glad you've asked this question. Actually, yeah, when I was, I say I just recently started loving myself like 9th grade. So that was like 2 years ago. I very much did not like myself. I've made terrible decisions. However, what's funny is I'm a hypocrite because the stuff that I used to do, I really don't like people around me who do that. And it's not that I'm being a hypocrite about it. It's just that I don't want to relapse into any old bad habits. When you have negative people around you, they're going to rub off, But it was a time in my life, which really honestly was all my life for real until, like I said, 9th grade, that I just really was not happy with myself. I was very insecure. I was a little on the chubbier side, but I wasn't fat. I wasn't like overweight type. Like, no, I was just chunky, I had like just skin. So people would bully me for it, all type of stuff. And they were mainly boys. And boys, on top of that, I've had sexual abuse in the past. So I have this subconscious like hate for boys and I'm really trying to heal it because I know it's not fair. It's not fair. Right. But it's just there. So I very much look to women. I love women so much. I think now, regardless of my subconscious hate towards boys, I think girls are better. I'm sorry. I mean, they just, they just, I mean, either way, boy or girl, we can be very bogus individuals, right? But as a woman, we can bounce back from a whole child out of our body. Like, that's amazing to me. When you see women, getting money versus men, women, who have families, typically they go and, spend it on their family first, right? They take it to, everybody or all their loved ones or whatever before they want to spend it on themselves. Or
Yes.
they do like their house or whatever, they're paying their bills. Boys, they get a good loan of money. They want to go buy some bottles or something. They like, hey, we finna turn up. And, that's cool for a good time, but where are you in the long run? But honestly, yeah, it's just, it took a lot for me to love myself. And honestly, it was all about, because for me, what I'm grateful of is I'm grateful that I grew up in isolation, just because of the simple fact that I know too many people who just cannot be alone. Like, they depend on people so much to supply something that they are continuously denying within themselves. And it's just like, you will never be happy like that. You just won't, because you're not loving yourself. Your body isn't feeling it from you, from your spirit. It's not unified with your spirit. So it's never going to feel love. It's just going to feel like, okay, I'm being used again. Like, wow, okay, great. Like, that was a good time. Okay, cool. Right. Now, what's next? And I know that better than anybody, so I try not to judge girls who, or boys who just, move hurt, who move in a way that is showing that they're traumatized, that they have been hurt before. I try not to judge them, but I don't want that around me, just because I've been there before and I don't want to go back to that. But I will always listen to anybody who is going through something. I don't care if it's Donald Trump, because everything derived from somewhere, everything. So, Donald Trump is crazy as ever. I don't really mess with him like that, but he is like that for a reason. I mean, everybody is like that everybody's the way that they are for a reason. Like I said, the common denominator is that we are all human. So I just try to keep the peace.
Do you think that people complicate their lives? Could people stand to could people stand to simplify things?
Oh my, I'm so happy you asked that. That's like my main mantra in my life. I just be like, it is what it is. Like, stop making it so complicated. Because, oh my gosh, like, if humans were to stop being so dramatic, do you know how easy it would be to get over stuff? It would be so, like, okay, for example, a liar, like somebody who likes to lie a lot, who's insecure about stuff that they do, so they lie about it. They are lying because not only are they insecure, right? They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be embarrassed. But this is what they're thinking in their head. Oh my gosh, like, bro, if I tell her, she gonna think this of me, bro. I'm just not gonna tell her. Like, duh, what? Like, why would I even tell her that? Like, no, she gonna think this of me. She gonna do this. She gonna do all, like, that's what they start to think, right? And it's like, yeah, that might be true, but you can leave. And what's so bad about being alone? It's nothing bad about being with yourself, because yourself is the one who knows how to take best care of you. So it's like, when you get to know yourself and you learn how to really take care of yourself, I swear that's the best feeling, because you get no other better love. Now, it's going, for those who crave love in other people, it's gonna get frustrating once you do love yourself and ain't nobody trying to love you back, But I mean, that's that own problem. But when it comes to making stuff complicated, I swear humans do it all the time, because it's just like, yeah, if you have a safe place to live your truth, right? I'm emphasize a safe place. Then the worst that person can honestly do is leave. That's literally the worst that they can do. So what's the problem? What's the problem? It's something within you. People have to look at themselves, and they refuse to do it. They will refuse to do it till the ends of the earth, to the ends of time. And it's just like, I mean, I guess I'm breaking that cycle in my family. Yeah, at me. Like, that stops at me. I'm not putting no trauma in my children's DNA. That's just not happening, because I'm gonna make everything simple for them. I mean, life is never going to be easy. That's what humans try to do all the time. They try to make stuff easy, and that's impossible because life is made to be hard. Human rights are capitalized. So what do you think? Like I can't even go in a restaurant and have a right to some food. That's what they say that we have right to, but they capitalize it, and that's wrong, right? So when you finally just be like, okay, I live in a country, or just world in general, that's honestly full of sin, but what can I do to make this work for me? It's like school. It's like making trying to make a assignment as simple as possible, and it's so easy once you get that, once you master getting it, once you master like your own study skills, it ends up being so easy for you, right? It's not going. I mean, it ends up being simple. It's not going to be easy, but it ends up being simple, and that's what you can do in life. Like when I'm gonna ask my mom for something, I'll be like, yeah, she probably gonna yell at me, but I mean, I'm gonna ask her anyway. Like, for real. But if the consequence is like, oh, she probably gonna kill me, then I mean, you gotta go. Like, you gotta go. You might as well not even tell her. You should just be like, hey, you should just text it to her. Sometimes you really do. Like, people be trying to be all, the bigger person and stuff like that, trying to talk in person. Like, no, people really don't be having safe places, to be honest. So it's just like, once you get in that safe place, then yeah, you're capable of anything. Anything will be fine.
You said something interesting, or you were sort of implying something interesting. It sounds like one way to simplify your life is to just be honest and to sort of just say what you're feeling or thinking. Is that what you were sort of getting at?
Exactly. The thing with me is this is what I say about me. Is say it exactly how you feel it, do it exactly how you felt that it was needed to be done. Because I really just do go based off of my emotions, but I'm still smart. I don't, I'm not just the person who be like, I hate him about it. Like, no, I can't. I'm not like, I can't do that because I have epilepsy. I can't even go crazy how I used to. So now I have my little emotional breakdowns. I get over it, and then I'm like, okay, if I can fix it, I'll fix it. If I can't, then I mean, whatever. If somebody else can fix it, then I'll let them fix it. It's just like I said, humans genuinely do make stuff too complicated, because it's like, okay, look, it's this problem, right? Is it fixable? Fix it. If you cannot fix it, you specifically, not your mom, no, because you can't control them. If you cannot fix it, okay, then chill out. If you can fix it, chill out, go fix it. And if there's nothing at all that you can do about it, okay, then just leave it alone. Don't even think about it, So it's just like, that's so easy. I'm not saying that I'm trying to disregard human emotions, because we're gonna feel stuff, However, when you feel it, don't dwell in it. That's all I'm saying, And if you do genuinely, feel that you need to act on this feeling, then do that. Simple. Simple. Like, it just be so simple. Like, if you have certain circumstances as a human, your emotions and whatnot might dwell longer. However, if there's nothing at all that you can do about what caused that emotion, why are you still dwelling in it? Like, okay, for example, you can feel your emotions, but why are you feeling it as if it just happened? So it's just like, you feel your emotions, you heal from the situation, and then you get past it. And if you choose not to heal from the situation, genuinely heal, not just simply acknowledge it or whatever, no, genuinely heal from the situation, then I mean, you're just going to have that little trace of trauma with you forever. I mean, regardless, if you are a traumatized individual and you have had trauma in your life, you are going to have a scar, a wound, something that is going to show that you have been hurt, whether it's knowledge, whether it shows through knowledge, whether it shows through, you know, it should be positive, healthy ways that you show that you have been hurt if you have healed, right? But if you are a damaged individual, you know, people express their trauma through sex, violence, drugs, you know, and I mean, how is that genuinely being healed? A lot of the people I know, they like to be like, well, you know, I don't deal with that. So, and I'd be like, no, you didn't. Because why are you still drinking every day to deal with that? It's not, you're still hurt, you know? And it's okay, you know, a lot of people I know, they really do be like popping pills and I mean, you know, but I'd be like, it's just about fixing it. That's all.
What are there things that people take for granted in this, ordinary things that people don't realize are valuable?
Yes. I used to take stuff for granted all the time, but I'm trying to work on my gratitude. But like, for example, anytime somebody even speaks to me, I just say thank you. Because I mean, I don't know when's the last time somebody could speak to me. I don't know when's the last time somebody could speak to them. You know, I'm very just thankful. I just show a lot of gratitude towards life in general and just nature's course, how nature takes this course. I'm very grateful for anything that's in my life. You know, I have a charger. I have somewhere to use the bathroom. I have toilet paper. Like it's when I came to California, honestly, that pushed my gratitude to the max because I've never seen as many homeless people ever. I've never seen it. I've just never seen it. So I just be like, wow, like.
So I want to say you have a question in the book related to play, and so I'll ask you, how important is it to play, and can adults play?
Yes, I believe so. I believe it's very important to stay in touch with your childhood. It's very important because if you don't, you're going to lose yourself. Your childhood self is the most vulnerable yet purest version of yourself. And I feel that when people lose their interest that they had and, you know, stuff like that, then they lose themselves.
What do you hope to accomplish in this life?
I hope to accomplish peace. That's it. I honestly just hope to be able to get my family where they need to be and just be successful. Genuinely. I just want to, if I'm not successful, then I honestly, no. I will, regardless of whether or not I have financial compensation or not. If I reach peace, that will be the most successful I could ever be in my life. Like, I would be just so happy if I just reach peace, being able to accept things that are very like hostile or problematic, being able to digress those. You know, it's just once you master peace, I just can't wait for that day. I really can't.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there. I have just one last question for you for now, and you can answer it any way you like. Alexandria Suzanne, who the hell are you?
I am an artist. That's what I would say. I am an artist and I am a lover. I'm not heartless. I love people. I love nature. I'm a free spirit.